Welcome to Wednesday on the AM Show. My name is Benjamin Akakbo, and like we usually do, we're bringing you all the content you'd like to hear us discourse on this morning on the show. Well, let's start with the news review and what to expect. We're going to host, as always, on Wednesdays, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He's a political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies. He'll be our guest. He is, of course, with the University of Ghana. But when we get to our topical issues, we call them the big stories. We're going to start with the Corruption Perceptions Index. Globally, it has taken place for decades. In the 90s, our average score was around 38. In the 2000s moving forwards, we've not been able to break the 50 mark, the average for any country. Now, the question is, we call it the Corruption Perception Index. But how much of it is perception? Is it fact? Is it fiction? Or is it, as some people will say, faction, a combination of fact and fiction? We'll be finding out this morning as we look at how we've scored over the years and what exactly the way forward is. Look forward to that. We'll also bring you updates on the Apiate incident. Of course, survivors are still going through the throes of what they went through. Some children are having nightmares. People are contemplating suicide. We'll bring you the details of all of those this morning on the show. But today is another Wednesday. And of course, courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, we'd have another story to tell on AM Business. Today on AM Business, Charles Aite visits David Lawe, who saved up his national service allowance to set up a catfish business. We'll bring you more later on the show. This plus sports, the news review, and more, all coming your way on the AM Show. You don't want to go anywhere, so stay with us till the top of the hour at 9. Up next, the news. Stay.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapito Sibidi. In our first story, President Akufo-Addo says he's determined to end the conflict in Bawku and bring lasting peace to the area. His comments follow renewed clashes over the weekend that left 4 people dead, including a female police officer. The Upper East regional town has for years witnessed chieftaincy clashes leading to many deaths and injuries. The Regional Security Council has banned the use of motorbikes as part of measures to end the conflict. The president has been meeting with the Bawku, Naba, Azigri, Azoko, Abugra, Ogo to find a solution to the impasse.
I'm happy that the Bawku Naba and his elders were able to honor my invitation to come and talk to me about what's been going on in Bawku recently. Bawku Naba, you know, ever since I became president and I took the oath of office, my major concern has been to enforce the oath that I took to uphold the Constitution and the laws of Ghana. The laws of Ghana include decisions of the Supreme Court of our country. I'm a lawyer and I know fully well the nature of the decision that the Supreme Court took over the Bawku chieftaincy conflict. And ever since I became president, I have not made any secret of the fact that for me, he is the Bawku Naba. So with this background, I'm hoping that Bawku Naba would also find a way to cooperate with government to bring peace to the area. The monies we spend on security in Bawku, those monies could be used to develop the place. So I asked him here so that we could find a way, all of us, himself, the Nairi, all of us, to work towards bringing peace and calm and understanding to Bawku.
Some residents of Ejisu in the Ashanti region are incensed at a dangerous scene of a heavy lifting machine carrying timber in a busy traffic intersection on the Ejisu-Kumasi highway. The log lifting machine posed danger to commuters, including pupils on a school bus, as the driver maneuvered his way around in attempts to transport the log. Traders and motorists panicked at the scene. Nanel Jima has more in this report.
According to residents, a timber-carrying truck had a burst tire which required the offloading of the logs onto another truck. The process got bizarre as a heavy lifting machine attempted to lift a log From one end of the road to the other, traders and commuters panicked as the log-carrying machine drove along the busy intersection. As he was carrying the logs with the lifting machine, anything could have happened. It could have killed someone. It caused us to panic.
About 100 meters far.
I panicked yesterday. Clearly, the log was too heavy for the lift and it looked risky.
A driver, Isaac Assuming, wants government to properly regulate the transporting of timber.
Because it's risky. Say a car
The country doesn't have any proper regulation for cutting timber. I will plead with government to ensure strong vehicles are used for the purpose.
So industrial areas now more heavy duty car very good. And yes,
The Ejosu Municipal Assembly says it is working with the police to ascertain what actually happened for appropriate sanctions. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
To other stories now, Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abu-Jinapor says government will set up a ministerial commission of inquiry to probe the Apatia explosion, which has so far claimed 14 lives and injured several others. The committee will also have the mandate to analyze the health and safety mechanisms of mining companies in the country and make recommendations. Mr. Jinapor spoke to the press in Parliament.
Say to you is that government is fully on top of this matter. Government is fully on top of this situation, and the president has made a commitment, and the commitment is that government is going to mobilize all the resources to support the victims and, more importantly, to reconstruct the Apieti community and build a modern community for the people of Apieti. And indeed, today, on the instructions of President Akufo-Addo, I inaugurated a 5-member committee to oversee the Apieti Support Fund. We've launched the Apieti Support Fund, which is a fund where we are going to call on Ghanaians, residents of Ghana and friends of Ghana to contribute to this fund for us to be able to raise the necessary funding to rebuild the community for the people of Apieti. The committee is chaired by Reverend Dr. Joyce Ayi, whom we all know is a renowned, distinguished stateswoman of our country, with 4 other distinguished citizens of our country. And it's our hope and belief that this committee will work together to be able to raise the necessary funding for us to be able to reconstruct Apieti. Finally, I should say that when these matters happen, there is also the need for the broader interrogation, the broader examination, so that we can learn the useful lessons out of the industry, the larger picture. What are the loopholes? Where do we have to tighten? The legal regime, is it sufficient? The policy regime, is it sufficient? And God willing, next week, we're going to inaugurate a ministerial committee of technocrats who are going to conduct an inquiry, not just an inquiry into this incident, but an inquiry into the whole gamut of health and safety of mining in Ghana, and not just explosives, everything to do with health and safety of mining, so that out of that we can have recommendations which will be implemented and to make our country a safe and healthy destination for mining.
Meanwhile, the GNPC Foundation has announced a scholarship package for university students who are residents of Apieti. Chief Executive of the Foundation, Dr. Dominic Edua, who has been visiting the community, called for accurate data of all university students in the area. Western Regional Correspondent Inathalia Kwanzaa has the rest of the story.
As government makes attempts to redevelop the Apieti community, GNPC Foundation has promised the chiefs and people of Apiate a new 6-unit classroom block to replace the only 3-unit basic school in the community destroyed by last Thursday's explosion. The executive director of the GNPC Foundation, Dr. Dominic Edia, gave the assurance during a visit to the devastated community.
It's actually to help provide scholarship awards for the tertiary students in this community. So we've engaged the opinion leaders to help us gather the data, the right data, to ensure that students from this community are enrolled on the GNPC scholarship scheme. The issue here is not normal, exactly as you mentioned, and having discussed with my trustee board, they have agreed this is supposed to be treated as a special case. In that respect, it means that the data we are going to gather, there's no need for them to go through the interviews here and there and all that, but they will be awarded accordingly. So that's a special case. That's what we are going to do.
What would the scholarship entail?
Of course, scholarship, as known by a lot of people, entails the tuition, something for accommodation, and also some monthly stipends. We've boxed all that together. So that's why we give that amount of money per year.
And that's going to be immediately for the people of
Immediately. So with the support of some opinion leaders, we are working on the data, and it will take immediate effect.
Dr. Edia believes the education of the people must not be suspended even in the midst of disaster, since the academic calendar cannot wait for the people of Apiate.
Education is at the heart of what we do at the foundation. We realize that the only 3-unit classroom block that they have here is down. And it means that they don't even have a GHS. What we have decided to do is to immediately look at a possible means of providing a 6-unit classroom block being primary, and then a 3-unit classroom block being the GHS. In addition, just at a glance, you can look at the sanitary facility at my right side, and it's not one good thing that any of us can talk about. We are going to provide them with a new sanitary facility as well. I'll be in talks with the State Housing Corporation to know their preparation towards the reconstruction, so that the component we are supposed to provide can be added accordingly. Immediately we go here upon assessment, we realize that it's one thing that cannot wait. The academic calendar cannot wait for the people of this community. So immediately.
For Joy News, in Athalia Kwansa, Apiate.
And while Thursday, January 20, 2022, will be remembered in the annals of the people of Apiate as a sad one and not to be forgotten anytime soon. A day which saw the death of 14 people, several injured, hundreds homeless and seeking shelter in the Bogoso St. Michael Parish. In Athalia Kwansa returns to what has now become a bare land where residents are yet to accept the loss of their properties.
Mary Akosia is a 28-year-old artisanal miner. She is busily digging a hole, anxiously looking for something. I went to find out. It was a piece of gold. My name is Mary Akos. I am 28 years old. I have my belongings there. I lived there until the explosion. I wasn't around when it happened, so I came to look at the situation. I didn't hear about the incident on time. I was told about it the following. She's looking for her piece of gold and 1,000 Ghana cedis. She claims she dug and hid in a hole long before the blast that razed down the Apiate village. She says she was away when the accident happened, but hurriedly came back here so she could find her precious property. To her disappointment, she couldn't trace her assets and money, but took solace in a beer bottle she found among the debris. Yesterday we came here to take our belongings, but we didn't get anything. But I have my gold there. I am an artisanal miner. I came to look for the gold, but I didn't find it. About 1 pound of gold. I had a brother who used to sell alcoholic beverages nearby. I went to search in the debris and I found this beer. Help me find my gold and money. Akosia's story may well be just one of many. A community that has lost everything overnight. This man gave his name as Mole. He has been helping rescue workers clean the debris. Himself an indigent, he's worried people do not take their safety as serious as they should.
So I see the container burning. I have to rush past. I come, I beg. Hey, everybody will make fast. Everybody will make fast. Call fire service right now. I beg each and everybody. Don't stand there and make picture hello. Call fire service or police right now. So Mullah started shouting, calling. I beg you get police contact, call them. You got fire service, call them. That time I come for the road top because now the fire is undone. Because now the container is burning. So I have to run past, come the road top, go up and down, shouting. Call the fire service, call police number. So I beg, if you watch out for your driving causes, for more times overtaking, overspeeding car, because what? Disaster. So I beg, each and everybody, check out road top. It's not that thing alone too. I beg, check out for your lovely case. Taking buses, I told that time, see, go to car. More times you are taking buses, you don't go to check.
The villagers of Apiate are yet to come to terms with their loss. But for many like Akosia, it may well take months, possibly years, to accept that a piece of gold may be gone for good. In Athalia Kwanza, Joy News, Apiate.
And that's it for the AM News. I am Mapito Sibidi. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. The AM show continues with Benjamin Akakpo.
Well, welcome aboard the news review as we delve into the papers and the topical matters that arise today. We'll be joined shortly by Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, political science lecturer at the University of Ghana with other portfolios as well. He's also the director of the Center for European Studies. He is our guest this morning. But right before he joins us, here's something that I just might run by Dr. Asah-Asante. I also want to run it by you. What happened to our COVID-19 tracker? Do you remember? When was the last time you checked on it? What did you find online? And we pumped a lot of money into this tracker. So what happened to the tracker? Or has the tracker grown legs and exited? Think about that. Anyway, so we'll be getting into the papers, and let me start with the Daily Graphic. COVID-19 vaccine plant here. Pan-African project includes Rwanda and Senegal. Now, this is good news. Let me give you some details of that. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has said that Ghana is on its way to establishing a fill, finish and packaging manufacturing plant for COVID-19 vaccines. He said he would visit Germany on February 16 this year. That's some weeks to come, together with the presidents of Senegal and Rwanda, Mr. Macky Sall and Mr. Paul Kagame, respectively, to inspect production facilities needed to activate the plant. And I quote him here: "We are going to build a Pan-African project with these two sister African countries where initially the fill and finish plant will be located in Ghana." He goes on, BioNTech of Germany, a health and technology company which now works with Pfizer, has agreed to be our partner and will contribute also to the construction of a modular production facility for other vaccines such as those for malaria and tuberculosis in Ghana, he added. So that is it, a Pan-African if you like, COVID-19 vaccine plant. South Africa has taken the lead, and it's only fitting that we follow. Let's look at other stories. Parliament reconvenes, e-levy consideration shifted to next Tuesday. That story is on page 16. It's something I'll definitely run by Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. And the question is why? Well, Parliament reconvened, all right. That was yesterday for the commencement of the first meeting of the second session of the 8th Parliament of the Fourth Republic. The consideration of the electronic transaction levy bill, which made the House to adjourn proceedings abruptly on December the 21st last year, was not on the order paper for the day when the House reopened for business. And the reason? There are supposedly to be deliberations on the matter. I'll be running the details by Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Doc, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation. Doc, you would have to unmute.
Yes. Hello.
I can hear you now, Doc. I can hear you.
Great.
Hope you're well. It's been a week.
Very well.
It's been a full week. Yeah, I can see that. A lovely jacket and polo neck, by the way. Doc, we are guy.
You know, sometimes you need to be swag, you know.
I know, right?
Yes.
Doc on swag. Anyway, you're on fleek. So I just brought up this story in the Daily Graphic newspaper about a COVID-19 vaccine plant here. It's a project that includes Rwanda and Senegal, which is to be based in Ghana. There is BioNTech together with Pfizer coming through with this package. And our president in some 2 weeks, around February 16, will be traveling to Germany to finalize some of these details. How crucial, I mean, this is not your field, but how crucial is it, owing to the fact that for every now and then we have pandemics and all, how crucial is it that we have this vaccination center in Ghana?
I think it's a progressive decision. We need to have taken this thing a long time because time and again we are confronted with, you know, viral infections and whatnot. It started time immemorial. And if you see countries such as the United States, they have been so proactive, and other developing countries preparing ahead of time so that in case of such eventuality, they are not caught pants down by events. So if my country want to take that bold step to be proactive, why not? We have seen countries such as Vietnam and all that, which are sources or centers for production of vessels. So why can't Ghana also emulate same and do the needful? So I think it's a right call. We need to walk the talk all the time. It shouldn't be just one of set things that we do and we go to sleep. We should, you know, implement it to the fullest so that the full benefits will be on us as a country.
Okie doke. And the other issue that really hits me from the Daily Graphic newspaper, as far as the headlines I've taken so far, has to do with Parliament reconvening. And the e-levy was not up for consideration yesterday. That was the expectation of everybody, that the e-levy would be there. It would take center stage. That didn't happen. And we've been told that there's the need for further deliberation on the matter. But it's interesting because we've heard from the minority and they are stating that the sort of deliberations that should have been done before even pivoting an e-levy were not done. They have adopted their own stance. And now we are going backwards to say we are now going to consult the people, when in fact decisions have already been taken. In fact, government has already decided that it will go ahead with this e-levy, and even at 1.75%, because that's what the communicators have been saying. Is this another knee-jerk reaction? Is this another attempt to placate the masses, the people? What do you make of it?
Oh, I think the issue about e-levy, we are well aware that government has failed ab initio. If government want to make amends, they should choose the right path to do it than what you rightly put as knee-jerk reaction. We have said time and again, and I want to reiterate the point here, that taxation is not a bad thing. If you govern without the ability to tax, then it means it speaks volume of your capacity as a state. But the magnitude is what we are worried about, that given the circumstances we find ourselves, it will be difficult, if not impossible, for Ghanaians to bear that 1.7 tax, burden. So why can't you listen to groups, stakeholders, so that you can come out with something that is meaningful for all? That's a very simple matter that government is refusing to understand. And it's simply because government has not found other means of raising revenue to shore up its revenue for the administration of the state. It's very unfortunate because ideas are bound. If you really are interested in getting ideas to run the country, it shouldn't be a difficult one than you know, with such a posture, that uncompromising posture, a posture that will not warrant consensus, would not allow for dialogue. Then it becomes a monologue issue. But remember, governance is what give and take, is a dialogue process. So if government want to go on this tangent, I'm afraid this will not help anybody. So they need to soften their grounds and then do the needful by talking to groups, by seeking advice, so that at the end of the day, this bill passes and passes through, so that they get the right revenue to run the administration of the state. It's unfortunate of this that we have government push in this direction.
Well, next Tuesday we'll see how this culminates. But another matter of concern, the SONA, the State of the Nation Address, it's to be delivered at the start of every year, the start of parliaments, going back and all of that. It didn't happen yesterday, and a member of parliament for North Tong, Okudzeto Ablakwa, brought it up. The majority leader stated that the leadership of parliament, including the speaker, would deliberate on the matter and bring some closure to it, fix a date. From the political standpoint, does it create any problems if the president doesn't deliver the State of the Nation address within a certain frame of time or at the start of the year?
I am hopeful that since they've not been able to do it for the initial period, they'll be able to do it in the shortest possible time. I don't think that government wants to close its eyes to this and will not allow it to happen. That will be incongruous. But I know that these things can be done and done easily, provided you get the leadership of the House seated, have a conversation, and explain the delay in that process. It is a process that you cannot truncate. So I believe that this shouldn't be a difficult thing for government to do, because it is in the interest of government to, announce the focus and direction of the country and tell us how far we have arrived here from where we come from. This is an important exercise government must do and do all the time.
Well, let's look at some other stories. Vice President addresses UN Security Council, calls for action on domestic inequalities. And on the back page, Senegal tamed 9-man Cape Verde to progress. And they beat them by 2-0. And the Ivory Coast and Egypt will clash in what is seen to be an early final. All of that in the Daily Graphic newspaper. But before we get into the Daily Guide, Doc, what do you make of the Speaker's attire in Parliament yesterday? He was dressed like a traditional chief, maybe even a paramount chief. Looking at the kente he was wearing, likely from the Voltairean end, and he looked dashing and all. On social media, all kinds of comments, a lot of them positive, some saying, well, should he really be donning that attire? But he had something to say on that. He has said that this year he's only going to use the normal, or the traditional parliamentary attire on ceremonies or in the course of ceremonies. But apart from that, he's going to use local attire. What do you think? I mean, in my lifetime, this is the first time I'm seeing something like this.
It's true. It's also my first time. But you see, some of these things, if you want to bring it to the fore, you need to discuss with the House. I don't know whether this has been discussed thoroughly by leadership of the House. And for that reason, we have received acceptance. I don't know. But if it has not been done, then it will be a great aberration. But there's nothing wrong going traditional and all that. But the House must all agree to that so that they can come along with the Speaker. We have seen other jurisdictions where people make use of traditional apparel to run the business of Parliament. Nigeria is a typical case in point, where you see them always in 3 pieces of the agbada and whatnot. Beautiful. If that is the way Ghana want to go, why not? But a discussion must be done for acceptance to follow, so that we can have a proper, procedure or proper way of handling these things. For me, that is the way to go.
Well, that story is also captured on the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. It says, Bagbin dress code sparks debate. and there's NDC MP's evidence in French. Now, this you might find interesting. So, you know the case of the NDC's Member of Parliament for Jomoro, Dorcas Afo-Toffee. She has prayed a secondary High Court for leave to amend her answers to a petition in which she is being challenged to produce evidence of a renounced Ivorian citizenship. But she actually had to say that the document was in French, and that has raised some, not eyebrows, but it has brought some interesting matters up. Change Mahama Kujobonsu pushes. That's a story we brought to you yesterday, and that actually has to do with his saying that Mahama has been painted with the brush of corruption and incompetence, which is not necessarily true, but he feels the NDC since 2016 has not been able to detach their presidential candidate from that, and so he stands the best chance. Kandapa wants majority-minority cooperation, but of course, cooperation does not happen in a vacuum, and so a lot of tete-a-tete and concessions must be made. In the entertainment spread, Accra tops Time magazine's 2021 World's Greatest Places in Africa. And interesting times indeed. We came up tops the place to visit in Africa for the year 2021, or at least moving forward, is Accra. How does that strike you, Doc? The place to go to in Africa is Accra.
I don't know the standard with which they are measuring this, but if it's for politics, then maybe one want to give them that credit that yes, this is a country where democracy has been stable. We have seen stable running of the affairs of the state and all that.
Right.
But in terms of the economy, yes, we have, for the past 4 years, we have done a little bit in terms of improvement, except that we are also caught in the quagmire with the issue of COVID and whatnot. The stark reality today is that times are difficult in spite of government effort to address the issue. But the ordinary man is feeling the pinch. So if that is what they are talking about, then we can also look at it and reason with them. But if they are talking about other things such as the cleanest city of Africa, that I'm afraid they are talking about a different country called Ghana, because as we have now, that is not in best of shapes, in spite of the president promise that by the end of his tenure, which that tenure has ended, the first one, we do not see much in that direction. I hope and pray that other areas which we have dipped, we will up our game and strengthen the frontiers of our country to make it more attractive, not on paper, but in reality, that anybody who comes here will see the evidence for him or herself.
And speaking of some of those areas, I am sure this story on page 9 of the Daily Guide will catch your attention. Ghana maintains corruption perception position. And here's our reality. In the last 2 years, 2020, 2021, we have scored 43 points. We placed 75th in 2020, 73rd in 2021, out of a pool of 180 countries. But you look at our trajectory, and we are not doing anything that points to the fact that we are making incremental gains. The Seychelles, Botswana, these were countries at the bottom. I mean, not at the bottom of the league table, but very low. They've advanced. They've made great strides. We still find ourselves where we do. And apart from in 2014, when we had a score of 48, we have always, been between the 41 to 45 range. In fact, in the 1990s, 98 to 2000, right before 2000, we had an average of 39.8. So it appears the battle against corruption, I don't know whether when you look at this, it gives you any comfort or cold comfort.
Never. The fight against corruption has been one that has been waged with difficulty since the birth of this republic. Government have made effort to deal with it head on. Right. But the stark reality is that they have not been able to find way around corruption. It's simply because we are not ready to fight corruption. I want to put it blunt. Because we know means of addressing corruption. We know sources of corruption. What are we doing with that? Let me give you a typical example. Issue of political party financing It's
Right.
a clear way where people breathe, where corruption gets to our system. What are we doing? The state has not taken the trouble to look at how to fund, political party campaigns. We have left that one with the political parties, and all manner of people are funding, and they are getting opportunity to come back for contracts with some, very unclear ways of handling some of these things. These have gone a long way to create problems for us, and we are refusing as a country to see. We always, fight corruption using slogans, using gestures, and so forth and so on, which do not mean anything. Look at countries such as America and all that. If you want to even go into political party financing as an individual, there's a threshold which you cannot go beyond. If you go beyond, you cross that line, you are going to jail. A very simple matter. What is the situation here? Even if we don't have such rules here, can't you borrow such nice experiences and make it our own here? We are only refusing to fight corruption. But we come out with slogans, we will protect public purse, we will fight corruption, zero tolerance for corruption. I think that these are all words that will only go a long way toward sway voters to vote in a certain direction. But the real fight against corruption, I'm afraid we are not ready to fight it.
Should we then just fold our arms? I mean, the very thing you started with is a suggestion made by Transparency International, the Ghana Integrity Initiative, that one of the crucial things we ought to be looking at is dealing with political party financing and campaigning and how they go about it, among other things, strengthening institutions and the rest. But you remember, infamously, former President Kufuor saying that corruption has been with us since the days of Adam. Are we being too hard on ourselves?
So, but why did President Kufuor promise that if he knew that we would be finding it difficult to fight it? It's simply because if you look at governance index, corruption features prominently, and there is no way that you can be given political power if you don't talk about corruption. That is why politicians are forced to mention things of ways by which they can deal with corruption. I know deep down them, they believe that this is a very daunting task that they will find it difficult to handle.
Right.
There are a lot of things that go a long way to affect this. Our traditional practices, our definition for corruption, our institutions which are very, very weak and they don't support the fight against corruption, and our attitudes, even socialization. How do we preach corruption? We only allow people to grow, get out of school before we talk to them about corruption. It should be...
by which time they are likely already corrupt.
Socialize, yes. So what is the noise here? If we really want to do it, we can study experiences around us and then have a careful balance as to how we can manage this vis-a-vis our traditional practices and all that. I don't think this country want to fight corruption.
A quick thought. I know countries where it is so ingrained in the people that not only is the study of being patriotic a part of their syllabus. I mean, we've been talking about the semester system and all of that in our curricula, but even the bit about corruption and what, as children, they shouldn't do, it's in their syllabi. You get it? Has it got to the point where, as a country, looking at how we keep falling in terms of the CPI, or at least stagnating, we should be considering adding some of these to our curricula to ensure that right from the start, we're putting in the minds of the children that let's stay away from these practices. They are called corruption. It is this, and it destroys society. Should we be contemplating that?
Nobody should tell us that. We should know from the word go that socialization is the way to go. Teach the children the way they have to behave so that when they grow, they don't depart. You teach them at home, at the family meetings, and then the school curriculum will top them up. Then you go to peer groups and all that, so that by the time a child leaves the school or leaves the church or leave any workplace, that child is fit for purpose and he is in tune with the do's and don'ts of our society. We allow people to go through education without, inculcating some of these important values in them. So by the time they get to their adult life, these things have been so difficult to handle. And that is why there is the urgent need for us to what? Reintroduce some of these things into our syllabus and get it from the word go. When I was a little boy, there was this civic education where there was a conscious effort by the state to inculcate what? Societal norms and values in us, our do's and don'ts. What do we see today? We have thrown them into the dogs, and now we have our fingers bent. Who are we going to blame? We have to blame ourselves. If you really want to build this society that will stand the test of time, the time is now to introduce this thing from the word go.
Doc, do you support any of the English football clubs?
Unfortunately, no. I support the Black Star.
You support the Black Star.
It is very difficult for me to come out boldly to support my team because of experiences from the 80s and 90s. Now, I am relaxing in my village. I don't want to die of heart attack because my team has always disappointed me. But I pray for them that who knows, we'll get a political John the Baptist who will come and help us to shape the Black Star so that one day we will be crowned champions of Africa. It's my hope and prayer.
Do you think they can get past the Nigerian hurdle? We have to face Nigeria in the qualifiers to Qatar 2022. That's our last hurdle. We are facing Nigeria.
A difficult question. I'm sure Abedi Pele and Co will have the answers. But let me hazard a guess that we can talk to people who are experienced in this area. We have them around, giving the crucial match which is ahead, and then the fact that we have sacked our coach in the midst of what all these challenges. Experts must come in and give us professional advice, not advice from any ordinary man who dreams about something and he wants to implement. No, we need professional advice that would deliver the public good. That is all.
Well, for the Man United fans, there's going to be a supporters congress. It's slated for the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, and expected to grace the high-profile event is Magnus Rex Dankwa Kwejo Safo Jr., owner of Honeysuckle, and patrons of the club and other big personalities. I am a big Man U fan, so pardon my bias here. But staying with sports and, segueing into politics, Doc. Guinea head of state blasts team, and these were his words. In recent times we've had Goita in Mali, Kano Doumbouya in Guinea, and most recently that other gentleman, I shall get his name, in Burkina Faso. And the interim leader had this to say: "You have not showed pride or hunger to win. A disgraceful performance has let down 13 million Guineans." And that is when they bowed to, debutants at the tournament, the Gambia. But my question doesn't have to do with sports. It has to do with the politics, the geopolitics of our sub-region. And we've had a spate of coups d'etats. It's all around us, the latest being Roch Kabore in Burkina Faso. It appears, I don't know, but what do you think in terms of ECOWAS and its ability to clamp down on some of these political incursions or military incursions? What's your take on it?
I am a very worried man. Why am I saying that? If you have read the political history of West Africa, you realize that in the 60s, this is the kind of picture we had. Ghana had a coup, followed by Nigeria, Burkina Faso, in that order. We're getting that also in the 90s, and that was a worrying situation until we entered into the third wave of democratization. We were hopeful that some of these things will be things of the past and we'll be able to build capacity and strengthen the frontiers of our democracy. Today, what are we seeing? We are seeing the ugly faces of what? Military rule coming right into governance and creating all manner of problems. But let's look at it, how it all started. We see issue of what? Bad governance, where people rule without taking into consideration the tenets of democracy, issue of rule of law, issue of human rights, and the rest of them. We have thrown this thing to the dogs. So at a point in time, you get people in khaki who want to come and deceive people into believing that they are the political John the Baptist who will be able to provide their need for them. I'm afraid that is not the issue, because time and again, soldiers have proved beyond reasonable doubt that they don't have what it takes to govern a civilian society. And as Udetola and the rest have been saying, that they should not venture into politics at all. I am worried if you see the people, how they greeted, they responded to the situation in Burkina Faso, as if that these people are going to be what angels, going to be their saviors. We have seen all manner of regimes, national redemption, to redeem who? National liberation, to liberate who? They never did anything. The best they could do is to rob Peter to pay Paul. We want to, advise people of Burkina Faso that they should make everything possible to throw out this regime through a certain process that is known and recognized by civilized countries all over the world, so that at the end of the day, we don't entertain military rule in Africa. I am disappointed in ECOWAS because sometimes if you see some of the leaders, what they've done over the years, the issue of third term agenda, where they themselves sit in parliament, change constitutions, and extend the tenure, the constitutional limits of holders of political power. These are created all manner of problems for us. And as I've already said, issue of bad governance has also followed. Human rights have been thrown to the dogs. And when you have such political leaders coming out saying that they have the wherewithal to run the affairs of the state, I am afraid, because as we have seen, soldiers don't have what it takes. They come with all manner of theories. We have seen the Praetorian theory, where they believe that they have the magic wand to turn things around when we are in difficulty.
Right.
We have seen the civilian regime performance, where they think that civilian regime cannot handle such difficult situation, and it's only the military that they have. We want to advise our people in Burkina Faso that soldiers cannot govern the state and provide them the needed resources that they have to run the affairs of the state.
Right.
They must move towards having a constitutional government that will stand the test of time for them to have a stable and a sound administration in that country.
And as you spoke of the Praetorian example, where the military has all these excursions, the recent case in Burkina Faso came to mind. Their chief reason, that the Burkinabe, government had failed to deal with militant groups and all of that. Question is that the way to go? So quite a lot to discuss there. But let's quickly look at the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Sound economic base reduced COVID-19 impact, says President's Ministry to invest $20 million in tourism industry. That's according to Dr. Awal and Majon Adjurigano. Residents decry harassment by land guards. Let's move on to the Finder newspaper, and let's go back to Parliament, Doc, shall we? MPs must stop damaging Ghana's image. That's according to Information Minister Kojo Oppong Nkrumah. And there's also that sad issue of Rebecca Akufo-Addo, sad over the death of Ghana's first female brigadier general. The story is on page 9, and it has to do with Brigadier General Constance Ama Emefa Ejianu Afenu, the first woman to be promoted to the rank of Brigadier General in Ghana. But let's do the bit about Kojo Oppong Nkrumah saying MPs must stop damaging Ghana's image. What do you foresee as Parliament has reconvened? Are they going to be able to live up to this lofty point that has been made by Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, looking at the fact that we have, like it or not, a hung Parliament, split right through the middle?
You see, the fact that you have a split Parliament or a hung Parliament, so to speak, doesn't mean that you have to always engage in a brawl. No.
Right.
There's no point in that. You see, all that you need in governance is talk. If you look at the etymology of the word Parliament, it comes from the French word parler, talk.
Right.
So I don't see why people get in there and they want to fight.
Right.
You use dialogue to address the issue. But you see, sometimes too, the difficulty is that the pusher of the majority in Parliament sometimes creates situations that brings about some of these things. That is not to say or to suggest at the moment that what we are saying in terms of fisticuffs is as a result of the pusher of government. No.
Right.
We can use more dialogue to get in there. But you see, the whole world is watching them. Parliament has done it first time, second time. I'm not sure they want to go to the third time. Their image is very important. And for me, my position is that if we can single out certain individuals who don't want Parliament business to go on in a manner that is acceptable to all of us, then those people must fish out and thrown out during elections, so that we'll have Parliament that we are proud of, Parliament that will go, will discuss their issues based on what? consensus, Parliament that they can lobby, Parliament that can use all the tools at their disposal to manage the affairs of the state for us, than to what? Engage in what blows. After all, Parliament is not a boxing ring.
Right. Parliament is not a boxing ring. To wrap, the Meridian newspaper, NDC remains opposed to burdensome taxes. That's according to former President John Dramani Mahama. And again, Mahama kicks against e-levy. That's on the front page of Republic Press. But to wrap the conversation, Doc, UTAG is still sitting it out. CITAG is back in the fray. UTAG is not. You have a 21-day ultimatum, at least per your own regulations, where after which, if you've not been teaching, the schools must shut down. This week, by the close of this week, you would have approached that point. What is the latest from UTAG? And are you willing to get to that point just to make a point to your employer that you need better conditions of service?
I think that this problem, I don't know why it is dragging like that. It's a very simple proposal that UTAG has made to government. And government also is aware that it is legitimate and it's important. Why this pressure of government? That as if they don't want to listen, they don't want to support this. It's very unfortunate. But I believe that government in the few days to come will reflect on it thoroughly and do the needful. All of us want to build this state, but we cannot build this state on an empty stomach. It is a fact.
We cannot build the state on an empty stomach, right?
Yes, we can. We also have to have our share of the national cake so that at the end of the day, it brings smiles on the faces of all of us. And then we go to this, our job with much dignity and then with confidence. That is all that we need to do. And I'm sure government is not oblivious of this fact. Government must, come in strongly and then have a meaningful discussion so that all these problems will be a thing of the past. Let me touch on briefly on my good friend, Brigadier General, that we have lost. Yes. This is a woman that I taught, and one day I told her that, Madam, it's my hope and prayer that one day you become the female general, the first female general in this country. He was in the United States, yes.
How long ago was this?
I've forgotten the years. And then he was in the United States and he sent a text to me and said, my brother, the thing you said has come to pass.
Oh.
And so I'm so sad to hear this. I don't know, but let me end it here.
It is well. Man proposes, God disposes. Doc, thank you so much for joining us for another Wednesday morning, and I wish you the best of the day.
Thank you.
Well, this is how we draw the curtains on the news review, but up next we bring you sports. A lot of action from yesterday, Morocco getting past, edging the Malawians. That was heartbreaking, but we have more action today as we see Egypt locking horns with the Ivorians. Stay for sports. Up next. Welcome back on the AM show. It's yet another Wednesday, and courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, we have another story to tell on AM Business. Now, what do you normally budget a national service allowance of 559 cedis for? Not much, maybe. Well, for 25-year-old David Lawe, his plan was to establish a catfish business in Accra. The KNUST graduate, upon completing his service in 2020, channeled all his NSS savings into this new venture. Today on AM Business, Charles Aite visits David's makeshift catfish farm as he explores the business of catfish production. Enjoy.
Every entrepreneur has a moment of reflection. For David Lawe Appa, it was a decision to not only venture into catfish farming, but saved his entire allowance as a national service personnel for this new venture. With a monthly allowance of 559 cedis, David managed to save 6,000 cedis as starting capital for this venture. Today, he is rearing close to 1,000 catfish, but it never came easy.
Due to COVID, we were kind of running shifts.
Yes.
So I could save those money for a system.
How much were you saving?
I was saving 500 cedis. So mostly we go at least once a week or sometimes 2 times a month. So those 50 Ghana on the 500 cedis was for the transport. Since I was in the house, I was sitting from the house, so I could save that money.
But what kept you going to make this dream of, having to venture into catfishing a reality?
So when I was in school, I realized that the tilapia and the catfish system has a difference. So in Ghana, we have the tilapia market running than the catfish. So it's a new market that is being introduced. So I decided to enter so that I don't get late in the race. That's why.
But how was the feedback? I can imagine the feedback from your parents, your siblings when you told them.
They didn't actually support. They felt it was too much, and then it was expensive. And then all the time I was using my money to run the system. So they didn't understand the whole thing. But as time went on, they bought the idea and then they started supporting.
I can see that. But how much specifically did you invest into fish farming? Totally, having to start with this catfish business.
We are heading around 9,000, but initially when we started, it was around 6,000.
So when you saved the entire national service money?
Yes, it was around 6,000.
6,000 cedis to push into this market. Great. That's lovely. David Lawe Appa is a graduate from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He understands the nuances of catering for these delicate fishes which have a high mortality rate.
I wake up very early. See, they are really sensitive to sound, so I actually feed them at dawn, around 3 a.m. That time the weather is cool and calm, so you get them eating much at 3. So in the morning when I come, I have a light, so I turn on the lights and then I check if the oxygen level is high or low. So I don't have a probe actually, so I use my observation. So sometimes you see them at the surface taking oxygen in the atmosphere. Because of their burrows, they can survive with that. So when it's like that, then I immediately change the water. This one I change it, but the tap isn't flowing, so that's why it's below. So I change the water, but if it's okay, I feed them and I observe their eating practices. So if their eating aggression is very low, I know that there's a problem.
One secret I've learned about catfish is that they barely like noise, and so they often operate in a very serene environment. The little noise you can see there, then they all tend to be so much restless. It's part of the whole plan that persons like David have learned in, not just cultivating them, but of course putting them up for sale in the market. Catfish farming is aggressively picking up in Ghana, overtaking tilapia. The Fisheries Commission reveals that big investments in aquaculture recently have been channeled to catfish production. The Greater Accra region owned a market value of 500,000 cedis in 2020 alone. David is going to teach me how to hold a catfish. Then after that, we're going to weigh the fish on the scale.
So it's a slippery animal.
It's very slippery.
It's very slippery. So these 2 fins,
yes,
you lock it with your hand.
You lock the fins?
Yes, with your hand. Your 2 fingers.
Okay.
Yes. No, inside. So you then you hold the head. So with your 2 hands. So actually, so you hold the head from the under.
This way?
Yes.
So that's it?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. I see. And it's interesting, this is a very popular fish, right? Especially in Accra. People really are craving for this kind of fish. I don't know what for whatever reason. So we're going to weigh the fish now.
Yeah, weigh.
So we just place it.
So I'm zeroing it, so okay.
In the bucket.
So you place it.
We just drop it in there.
80 kilos. A.
It weighs 80?
No, 0.8 kilos.
Yes, so that's 0.8 kilograms.
Yeah.
So this is part of the routine you do every day?
Yes.
So let me try and do this myself. So I lock it this.
So you can lock it from this side. Okay. So depending on how big it is, they determine the number of hands you can use. So this one is not really big, so you can just use your one hand. So use this hand. But when you hold it, it will snake.
This is way.
Face it. You have to face it.
And I just drop it there.
Yes.
So I'm currently in the farm with David. We're weighing the fish to see how good they are on the market.
They're hitting 1.24.
So that's 1.24.
Yes.
They're quite healthy. So you often weigh the fish before you sell to the consumer. So the heavier the fish, the
bigger the
amount. I guess
this
is also healthy.
This one is
right?
a female, I'm sure.
This is a female. She's pregnant.
Yeah, that's eggs.
Oh, I see. So what happens to the pregnant one?
So yeah, it's a female. So this
how do you see it?
So this is the sex organ.
Oh, okay.
So so that's the eggs.
Okay.
So when you press the belly down, the eggs come out. Yes.
So do you have a specific place for pregnant catfish?
So you see, this is not their natural habitat.
Oh, okay.
So you get them reproducing when there's current in the water, when there's a water flow.
Okay. Okay.
David's decision to venture into fish farming was met with some opposition in its initial stages.
I was discouraged at a point because in the beginning my family actually had some holdbacks for what I was doing, but now it's cool with them. So yeah. So when you want to actually do it, if you can, would you just seek some advice from some of the experts? As at now, I still read my books and ask my friends for some ideas. So.
Charity Appa, sister of David, recalls how she battled to convince him out of his dreams. A move she and the rest of the family would have regretted, she admits.
Oh, honestly, I wasn't in support. When my mommy told me, I told her that, like, how many people take catfish? Like, this is not a business, I think. I was thinking about just the money aspect. And anytime he gets money, he go and buy feed. And he was always broke. So I advised my mommy to tell him that he should stop. But he was passionate about it. And then I realized he loved doing it. So I decided that let's support him if that is what he wanted to do. But I thought it wasn't a good idea. But later on, when I tasted it and then when I went to work too, I realized people really love it. It wasn't just the Nigerians. So I decided that let's support him. So anytime he needs help, we come around.
So help me. So this is one that he just presented us.
Yeah.
So is there a way by which you eat the catfish?
Yeah, we you know, unlike tilapia that sometimes we eat with banku, this one you can just take it like that.
Oh, really?
We love it.
You can take it without banku.
Oh yeah, you can.
Like
everything is in. It's nutritious. There are vegetables.
I see. Yeah. So this is how the catfish looks when it's done. From the water, the tanker to the grill to the dinner table. This is how it looks. It looks so yummy. So how much in all does this whole catfish cost?
It depends on the weight.
Okay.
It depends.
Catfish is becoming a popular delicacy, especially in the Greater Accra and the Volta regions. Mostly grilled, the ray-thin fish goes for 50 and 60 cedis, depending on its size.
Well, this is what family is all about for the Appas. David is so much confident in himself that even though he's starting so small, the joys of his family could motivate him enough to take up huge roles in the future as a fish farmer. I'm Charles Aiche reporting for Joy Business.
is stated, the chairman of the business committee is indicating that the finance minister is seeking to get ample time to go and further consult. Mr. Speaker, let me state, as a matter of fact, throughout this period of the research, we on this side were never consulted or talked to about this, about the electronic transfer levy bill. And Mr. Speaker, at the Committee of Finance, our side of this House requested that as part of the practice of this House and supported by the Constitution and the standing orders, we should open up for people to bring memoranda for the engagement, and we said there was no time. But now we are giving time to the Minister of Finance at his request. We should wait for him to do consultation, but we cannot even give this House time to consult. And Mr. Speaker, I want to make reference to the 1992 Constitution, and precisely Article 106(4). And with your permission, Mr. Speaker, I read, whenever a bill is read the first time in Parliament, it shall be referred to the appropriate committee appointed under the Article 103 of this Constitution, which shall examine the bill in detail and make all such enquiries. In relation to it.
Corruption. It's an age-old canker, an age-old problem. Over the last decade, most countries have stagnated in terms of their performance. In fact, the global average has remained at 43, even as of 2021. And when you look at the data, we seem to be grinding to a halt. Why is it so? And why is it that Ghana seems to be underperforming? We get into the details this morning, but to kickstart the conversation, Isaac Kofi Adjei is here. Hey, you are bespectacled this morning. Some flex like that.
I know we talk about it.
You're good to talk about. All right, so our in-house research man, Isaac, joins the conversation. So walk us through, what exactly are you going to be talking about? The 2021 CPI?
Yeah.
And
we'll do some trend analysis.
Right. So a full breakdown of what it means.
Yeah.
Let's get right into it then.
Sure. So now let's start. Last year, 2021's report, it featured 180 countries, and the scale, as you know, is from 100, from 0 to 100. And then the global average, as you mentioned, is 43, out of 100. And then we have 2 out of 3 countries, scoring below 50,
right,
in 2021. So let's look at Ghana's, picture for 2021. So 2021, we were ranked 73rd out of 180 globally, and then our score was 43, which is equal to the global average. Now, this is where, the whole controversy is, the trend analysis. So now let's focus on the trend analysis from 2012 to 2021.
Right.
So in 2012, our score was 45 over 100. There was some marginal increase in 2013, from 45 in 2012 to 46 in 2013. And then we had, our best score in 2014.
14, right.
That's 48 out of 100. And then a decline in 2015. So from 2014 to 2017, we've been in a free fall mode, from 48 to 47, then to 43, and in 2017, we decreased from 43 in 2016 to 40 in 2017. Now, from 2017 to 2021, it's been fairly stable, from 40 in 2017 to 41 in 2018, then again to 40. We maintained it, the same score in 2019, 41, and then in 2020, our score increased from 41 in 2019 2019 to 43 in 2020, and our current score, which is the same as our old score in 2020, which is 43 as we speak now.
So you look at the trajectory, and globally, the expectation is that countries would aspire to getting or scoring 50 or more. In the last decade, we've not achieved that. In fact, we've never achieved that in the Fourth Republic.
Our best score has been in 2014, which was
48.
So 2 deviations away from, the 50 mark that maybe we want to get to.
And since that time, we've not got anywhere near.
Since that time, 50. We've had a free fall.
Right.
From 2014 to 2017, there was a free fall. But from 2017 to 2021, the score has relatively been stable. Now, when this report was released, there were controversies about, comparative analysis.
Right.
The former President Mahama and then our current President Nana Akufo-Addo. So we took our time to do some math, because if you just look at the trend analysis, sometimes you may be deceived.
Right.
So we took our time to do some sort of analysis to see who probably has done better in terms of the score. And if you look at former President Mahama, he inherited a score of 45, took it to 46, and then to our best 48, declined it to 47, a further decline to 43.
And that was when he left power in 2016.
2016.
Right.
And then President Akufo-Addo inherited a score of 43, took it down to 40, increased it to 41, maintained it in 2019, and then 2020, he took it to 43, maintained it in 2021.
With a decline from 43 to 40, I've heard members of the current administration say that, the Global Perceptions Index, we're in 2022 and we're talking about the year 2021.
Exactly.
So they will tell you that, it was a spillover from 2016. And so,
usually the report is...
That is what they have said over time.
24th January.
Right.
So, I don't know, the arguments, maybe it will start. But let's...
So let's look at the two presidents comparatively. Former President Mahama and Nana Addo now. What do the figures tell us?
So we are looking at the points gained, each of the presidents, and then the points they lost. Then we look at the change.
Right.
Okay. So former President Mahama, in his 4-year span, gained 3 points, but lost 5 points.
Right.
So if you do the math, that will give us -2.
Okay.
So that's his, let's say, his total score. So marginally, he's adding -2 to our score. That's how I put it. And then President Akufo-Addo gained 3 points, just like President Mahama, but he has lost, 3 points in that same period. So his marginal, point is 0.
Right.
So President Mahama -2, and President Akufo-Addo 0. So whether you include 2021 or you exclude it, it's still the same, because the score has been constant from 2020 to 2021.
So in effect, when you're looking at the Global Perceptions or the Corruption Perceptions Index, both the NDC and the MPP have not really made any gains in terms of this specific index. Exactly. Nana Addo scoring 0, gaining, so 40 to 43, an advancement of 3 points, but then you look at the decline from 43 to 40, and that also affects him. So he has a net score of 0.
A net score of 0, so in effect, nothing has really changed.
Nothing has changed. But when you go to President Mahama, of course, he gained 3 points as well, 45 to 48, but you look at the net losses, 48 to 47, and then down to 43, and that is what has ended him with a change of a negative
so he
2.
probably be in a deficit.
So quite a picture you paint. Let's look at, our ranking then in
so
Africa.
Let's take it beyond Ghana and Sub-Saharan Africa. 49 countries were ranked. Ghana, our score is 9 out of the 49.
So that's our place, our rank in terms of Sub-Saharan Africa.
Exactly.
But the score is 43.
43. Our score is 43, but our rank is 9.
Right.
Seychelles is leading with a score of 70.
A very respectable score. If you even look at the continental average.
Yeah. Continental average, out of the 49 countries, we have almost, 44 out of these 49 countries scoring below 50. So if Seychelles is able to score 70, and that's a very good performance for Seychelles. And the least, I think, is Lesotho with a score of 36 and ranked 15. So this is, let's say, the top 15 that we have here for you. But the total is 49 countries. So let's look at the global outlook. A global outlook in terms of continent or regions. So Africa is having the least score.
The least
here
score.
With
even compared to Eastern Europe and Central Asia, which are also seen to be pretty corrupt.
Yeah. So Western Europe is having the highest score with 66 out of 100, followed by the Americas with 43 and 49 for Middle East and Northern Africa. And then we have 45 for Asian Pacific, Eastern Europe 36, and Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa 33, for 2021. So now let's look at the top 10 countries globally. So Denmark is leading with a score of 88 out of 100. There was a tie. Finland is also in the first place with 88 points. And then New Zealand also in the same position with 88, followed by Norway, Singapore, Sweden, Switzerland, Netherlands, Luxembourg, and then Germany. So if you look at the least 10, Turkmenistan is having a score of 19, Equatorial Guinea 17, Libya 17, Afghanistan 17, North Korea 16, Yemen 16, Venezuela 14, Somalia 13, Syria 13, and the least being South Sudan with a score of 11.
So pretty interesting, the dynamics there. Somalia with 13, Syria with 13, South Sudan with 11. And these are some countries that have constantly been at the butt, if you like, of the league log when it comes to corruption.
So let's look at the most significant 5-year movers. So in the span of 5 years, Armenia has gained an additional 14 points. Angola, which is in Africa, that's impressive, 10 more points in the span of 5 years. South Korea, 8 more points. Uzbekistan, 6 more. Moldova, 5. Ethiopia, which is also in Africa, 4. And then Venezuela has lost significantly 4 points. Honduras, 6 points. Nicaragua, 6 points. And then Canada. Canada has lost 8 points in the span of 5 years. So Ben, that's what we have as far as the Corruption Perception Index is concerned.
Well, thank you for bringing us those details. We also know that Cyprus, Lebanon, and Honduras are all at historic lows this year. So what is the way forward? Well, we'll be getting into the details as we host our guests, Murtala Mohammed, Member of Parliament for Tamale Central. He joins me in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
We also have joining the conversation Edem Senanu, an anti-graft campaigner. He'll be joining us virtually. And we have Dr. Dixon Kisi, Member of Parliament for Anya Sotuum. It's going to be a discourse, yes, from the political elements, but also with a perspective of what exactly is new and where we are failing as a country. All of that coming to you right after this break. Do stay. And so this is how we start the conversation. You've seen the analysis, and now we're going to get into the facts of the matter and what our guests think about where we find ourselves currently as a people. Let me start with the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Murtala Mohammed. Good morning to you.
Good morning, and good morning to my best friend. Also, good morning to your viewing public, and of course, the good people of Tamale Central. I was watching the so-called analysis done by your analyst.
So-called analysis?
Yes, I will. And if
why so-called?
If you hadn't used the word analysis, I don't think that I would have wasted my time commenting on it. If I were the management of this state.
Okay, so right, Murtala.
Let me finish.
No, hold on. There's something I must do right before you go on.
Let me finish. I'll either have him fired, or I will not pay him this month for engage in such amateurish analysis of figures.
What exactly was amateurish about it?
I'll tell you. Why? You are talking about doing analysis. If he was presenting the raw data, thank God, I'm a researcher.
Okay, Murtala, let's hold your horses. Hold your horses. Let me just also introduce Dr. Dixon Kissi, Member of Parliament for Anyaso Usum. Doc, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
And I know you differ in perspective to what Murtala is saying.
Fortunately so.
I mean, it is
okay.
You are talking
Murtala, let's do this. Let's not go after. I beg you. I'll let you go, but let's not go after personalities. The young man was merely giving us a trend analysis, and I'm seeing the same data exactly same in terms of Transparency International. So what exactly is your problem?
It is unfair for you to say I am going after him. I am not going.
No, but you are saying things about his being expelled and all of that. I don't think that is fair.
If he wasn't doing analysis, I wouldn't have said anything. If you do a research work, let's take even a thesis that you are working on. You have chapters, but there's a chapter that you do analysis and conclusion, isn't it? That one you are expected to present both sides and explain why this one is this one is this.
Right.
You can't come and you tell us that this year was this, and you strike average, and by that you come to that work conclusion, and therefore President Mohammed...
Which conclusion is based on the facts and the figures?
I'll tell you, and therefore President Mohammed...
Which conclusion you are seeing on your screen is based on the facts and the figures?
I'm coming.
Right.
You said analysis. And if you are doing analysis, you would have to give reasons why this is this, this is this, so that people, when they even take the analysis, they would have an appreciation
so let me,
of why and how...
Let me explain this to you, if I may. Can I explain this to you? We gave you the trend. We're doing the analysis now. I'm going to, together with you, do the analysis. Is that okay?
So then
it was the trend that we painted. So we're doing the analysis.
It is fair I raise questions about the analysis he did, which I consider.
Right.
I believe most of the people who are watching this to be whacked, to be very honest with you.
So what exactly?
Let me just finish.
What exactly is wrong with it?
Exactly. When you are, he concluded by saying that what it means is that President Mahama added -2. And President Nana Addo didn't add anything at all. That is completely misleading.
How so?
Yeah, good. You are looking about the same period of time. President Mahama from 2012 to 2016, that is a period of 4 years. President Nana Addo from 2017 to 2021, actually a period of 4 years. Now you are looking at how we have performed in terms of our fight against corruption. Now you yourself, you've indicated in your presentation that yes, the highest we have ever scored in Ghana, at least in the Fourth Republic, was under President Mahama, which was in 2014, where we had 48.
Right.
I'm not saying that praise President Mahama for scoring 48. There could be reasons why we scored 48. We should all be very happy. Now, when you have the trend that decrease after the 48, mind you, he took it from 45 to 48.
Right.
There was an increase. That is 45, 46, 48. And
there was a 3 percentage point increase.
I'm just talking of the yearly increase. I don't want to even look at the percentage increase. Now, you are talking about 2015, it decreased to 47, and then 2016, it decreased to 43. Now, if I am asked to do analysis, and I say, yes, there has been a decrease from 48 in 2014 to 43 in 2016. If I'm doing proper analysis, I'll give reasons why I think that there was that decrease. Is it that we lost in terms
So it's not that the figures are incorrect, it is the fact that you feel we should give further explanation. But as I have given you opportunity, as I have made clear to you, that is why we're here sitting down to do this.
That's why more so when you had a consistent increase, from 45, 46, 48, and then you have 2 years which reduced from...
And then you have a consistent decrease as well.
Yes.
48 to 47 to 43.
You're looking at the rate of the consistency in terms of the increase and then the decrease. 2000, 45, 46, 48. Then you had a reduction in 48 to 47 and 43. That is a period of just 2 years that you had this decrease. Now, if I'm giving analysis, I would give reasons why I think that there was an increase from 45 to 48. And I'll give reasons why I think that there was a decrease from 48 to 47.
Do you find it worrying? Let me finish. No. You're making a point. So on that same bit, since you're talking about marginal decreases, you are looking at 48. 48. Fine. You're looking at 48 in 2014. And by the time you're handing over in 2016, it has come down by 5 points to 43.
I don't want you to drive me to that.
Why not?
Allow me to finish. I was making a point.
Go ahead.
Now I'm saying that the consistency of the increase, if I am asked to do analysis, an intellectual analysis, I will tell you and I will provide possible reasons why there was that consistency in increasing in terms of our performance. Now, if within a period of 2 years we had a reduction, then I should be able to profile reasons why I think that there have been that reduction. Juxtaposing that with 2017 to 2021.
Right.
Now, if you have 43 which decreased to 40, then from there we had 41. It decreased to 41. The following
it
year,
stayed at 41.
The following year 41. The following year 41. And now you had a marginal increase in 2020
of 2 percentage points
and
to
then the
43.
year, so within the period of 4 years of President Nana Addo, we have had, did we go or did we come? A decrease from to 41, the same year we virtually didn't do anything. What measures were put in place? And now you have 43. The question is, more so when that particular president won the elections at the back of corruption, featuring tremendously in the campaign. Mind you, the issue of corruption, played more than 60% role in the MPP's winning elections in 2016.
By which metric are you saying that?
It is very clear.
I have not seen any metric that corroborates what you say. I mean, there are metrics that say, yes, there was corruption, but the 60%, there's no metric to support that.
Of course, you may be right, but I'm saying that there has never been a change in government in this country. Whether through the ballot or through the bullet, that corruption is not used as a justification.
Right.
There has never.
Okay.
And in fact, it played significantly in these elections.
Okay. So I want you to wrap on this point, so we move on. So
the interruptions are just too many.
No, we have to move.
You have members of parliament,
right,
who think, in fact, and I will just take the 2017 financial statement of the NPP, juxtapose that with the 2016 manifesto. In fact, 2017 financial statement, every single paragraph was pregnant with corruption and how they were going to fight corruption. Juxtapose that with the 2016. Now, the interesting thing is that the subsequent financial statement presented by this government in Parliament, corruption is virtually not mentioned. I'm saying that corruption, and compare that also with the 2016 manifesto and the 2020 manifesto.
Right.
The alacrity with which the MPP campaigned with fighting corruption in 2016 and what they said about corruption in 2020, there's a crass difference. So it tells you that they knew they were prosecuting the 2016 elections at the back of allegations of corruption. So
you think they had dubious intent? They were not being honest?
And it is very clear.
Okay.
That is why if you take
the
financial statement, corruption is not even mentioned.
Hold your horses. Dr. Dixon, I want you to respond to that. But as an ordinary citizen, from where he leaves off, and looking at the different budgets that have hit us from 2016, I cannot but to some level agree with him on the last point, not on the initial point, but on the last point. Corruption seems to have gradually, Nicodemously gone out of your budget statements and real talk. All of a sudden, corruption is not on the radar. What's happening?
Please, assessment of corruption is not based on budgets. Let's be mindful of that. Projections,
but how to deal with it factors into a budget. No, do you agree with me or not?
Please.
How to deal with it? Does it factor into a budget?
I haven't heard anywhere in literature where your budget is your measure of corruption in the country.
I am asking you a question. How to deal with corruption and how much it will cost. Does it feature in the budget or not?
You can make statements about it, but your statements will not be... I mean, for instance, if Mahama should come preach that he'll be the most non-corrupt president, I will not measure him by his words, but by his actions. And clearly, as I look at this graph, they say book no lie. And these are indices based on all the various sentiments in the country and all the various allegations in the country. And somebody has come and said that your average, Mahama's government's average, is bigger than Nana Addo's government's average.
At the lowest.
So per this chart, we are vilified.
Although you're vilified in which sense?
In the sense that, listen, all things being equal, our average, quote unquote, is less than their government. All things being equal. And that is what we're saying from the graph. And
someone else will tell you very quickly. Someone else will tell you, and since you're going that way, someone else will tell you that the lowest score of the NDC in 2016 is your highest score. No. The best you've done so far, 43.
Reality dawned on them when they were nearing the end. I think that's what it is. They had been so corrupt in the beginning, as you can see, 45, 46, 48, 47. And then reality dawned on them that, hey, we need to change our ways. And then they came to 43. Now, my point here is that if Nana Addo's government scored higher than their lowest, then I would have said, at least, as Sarkodie says, maintain. Nana Addo, he's maintained. No, I mean, let's be very frank with ourselves. Now, one of the key things I wanted to share with our viewers today is that pure misunderstanding of public accounts, when they state that, government has spent so much.
I serve in the same committee.
Yes, and
So don't land on muddy waters.
You know that.
But allow him to.
I mean, unfortunately, when they quote these figures, it is not you and I who that money comes to. True or false?
I'm just saying, don't.
No. Let's agree on that.
I'm not going to respond to you.
So the beauty of it is that civil servants, unfortunately, when they mismanage, him and I sometimes hide behind that and make damning allegations that, oh, the government has spent this. Now, what pains me the most...
What exactly do you mean when you say when civil servants misbehave? It's
all
part of the workings of government. So why are you trying to detach?
Let me state a few things because of my medical background.
Right.
When you are working and you take medical leave and you fail to provide the necessary documentation, it is tagged as unearned salary.
Right.
And all the many employees of government who fail to submit proper documentations for their leave, that money is summed up in the monies they claim that people have chopped. And these are all people who retire and fail to get their salary stopped. So somebody might be retired and gets paid for about 6 months before whatever paperwork arrives. And these are failures in the system, not deliberate by politicians. And I really think that we need to do ourselves a service of truthfulness to the Ghanaian people, be it my government or the opposition. Let's come clean. Those kinds of allegations won't help us.
Okay.
And that is why some of these indices, I think, and I've always been crying these days because some of the damning allegations will affect our finances in terms of gaining foreign investments into our country.
Why should we say that if it is white or black, we will not say it because it will not inure to the benefit of our economy? Whatever happened to truth?
What I'm saying is that let's be truthful. Let's don't make allegations when we know, in principle, that these allegations are false.
Let me ask you.
You understand?
This.
Yeah.
The data from the CPI. These are perceptions, yes, but they are not allegations. Hold on.
Okay.
How do you react to the 2021 CPI? Coming from the standpoint of, look, let me take off my hat as a presenter. As an ordinary Ghanaian, I'm worried about the fact that, yes, 1998 to 1999, before 2000, we were scoring in the 30s. After that, we started scoring in the 40s, thereabouts. We have not, as a country, been able to score past 48. That is the highest. We've not been able to reach the metric of 50, which most countries that have advanced in the last decade or two have gone past. We are still stagnant. Does that make you happy?
Well, I'm unhappy, but there's one thing. As population increases, some of these perceptions will also be in that same quantum. It's just the nature of life and statistics. Now, let me add that the police guy taking something on the street, or the government employee who wants something to push the paper, these are all parts of our problems. So it is not necessarily a governmental administrative problem alone.
It is.
It is not. And until our behaviors in all the various sectors change. I mean, for instance, you want fertilizer, a farmer submits the appropriate documentation, somebody somewhere sitting in the office demands that, Charlie, give me some 500 oils. And these are the problems that is eating us as a country. And Murtala and myself have to admit that, listen, it is not the 275 politicians or the 500 politicians in this country that leads us to this index.
But they contribute.
And it is important that we...
90% is down by politicians.
And this is the problem we are
The
having.
level of political corruption in this
So isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting that you have your fellow politicians saying that 90... No, hold on. Don't be too eager to make a point.
Okay. And I'll give
that 90% of it comes from you guys, the politicians. And I don't know why. Yesterday, in my discourse with Oliver Barker-Vormawor, he made mention of this point, that you in the political class, you like to push the buck, but in the end, forget whatever is happening on the street and all of that. It starts with you, doesn't it?
I'm not pushing the buck here. I'm saying that reality is that we're all into this.
So okay. in essence, you're sticking to what President Kufuor said some time back, former president, which is that corruption started since the day of Adam. So in other words, you're saying that we are not going to win this fight. We should even give up.
I'm saying that we all need to change our ways. Listen, when a customs officer, which beautifully former president late Atta Mills went to customs, you saw what happened. He wept literally because he questioned how a customs officer within 6 months of assumption of office or a certain position can build 4 or 5 houses. That is how our indices go up. And Murtala has to admit that these are injurious to the country.
Well,
and he's not immune to it. I'm not immune to it.
Right.
My prayer is that every Ghanaian, we ought to change our ways.
Okay, thank you.
To bring the indices down.
Right.
But Nana Akufo-Addo has done well.
Right.
Minimally by maintaining us at some average level below what's the NDC administration.
I prefer though, yes, numbers if the fish or whatever will get spoiled, it will be from the head.
That is the local adage.
But let me just
we will change our ways.
Right, Jan, you say you're watching us from Tripoli in Libya. Thank you so much for doing the watching. I also saw Prof. Azza at a point doing the watching. Thank you all for joining us. I know you want to respond to him. As you respond to him, also add what your overarching view is of the 2021 CPI and why you think, and I know you think, that their administration is faring worse than the NDC. Why you think so?
Well, he just said it. He said they are maintaining. Let me inform him. You are not maintaining. You reduced before you attempted to maintain. You took it at 43. You reduced it to 40. Then you subtly increase by 1%, 41, and then you are going back to 43. You took it.
I mean,
hold on.
2020.
Hold on, please.
The elections behind.
I tried not to get him to heckle you. So
the reason why I was challenging the analysis done by your presenter, 2016, and that's why I was trying to make the point forcefully, that the MPP prosecuted their campaign in 2016 at the back of corruption. Tell me one single minister and agency that they didn't accuse for engaging in corruption. Every single minister was accused for being corrupt. And that explained why we had to move from 47 to 43 in 2016. When they came to power, and I'll give you a classical example. In fact, they held a press conference and accused Dr. Punit. The press conference was addressed by the current minister for Agric. He was present. For chopping, and if I can use that word, $400 million. $400 million at a press conference. In court, they didn't see the need to talk about $400 million. You had Eselosu and Co who came to Parliament with placards, thieves. Now, all the allegations they made against President Mahama and his appointees and all of us, they did not have a scintilla of evidence. They accused President Mahama for building hotels in Dubai. And the corruption index is anchored on perception. Now, all those perceptions informed why we had to come down from 47 to 43. And this is what I was expecting. Now, if I want to go by his argument, in 2020 we're in an election year. It's understandable. Corruption was again featured in the campaign of NDC and civil society organization. How about 2018? How about 2019? Hold on. You took it 43. You had the support of the people of this country in 2017. You had the support of the people of this country in 2017 because you won the elections at the back of allegations of corruption against NDC. Yet in 2017, you reduced it from 43 to 40. And in fact, you could only increase it marginally in 2018 to 41, 49. Now, I will grant you that in 2020, when elections, corruption featured very well. How about 2017? How about 2018? How about 2019? Now you tell me that maintain. Then why did we even vote for President Manado in the first?
I said barest minimum.
I said, what barest minimum? You haven't maintained. If you took something from 43,
higher than your
please,
values?
no.
Have we gone higher than
you can? No, I'm saying our lowest is your highest.
But isn't that a better performance?
No, it's not.
So I find it interesting. The two of you, the representing the two major parties in our country, you are fighting over failure.
No, not failure.
Both of you are scoring below 50.
No.
You are not doing well on the index, and you are fighting over who has marginally gained in terms of failure.
Don't push this to be an agenda for your station.
It is not an agenda.
I am not fighting.
No. I take exception to that.
I'm sorry. I said don't push this to be an issue. I am not fighting over marginal increase or decrease. We are doing analysis, and he is saying that they are maintaining. Governments are voted into power. Oh, please. Governments are given the mandate to govern so that things will improve. Now, if you accuse the NDC for being corrupt, and for which reason we scored 43, the least the people of this country expect from you is to increase it to 48, 49, to 50, as he said. Now, you took it at 43. And now, hold on, your argument is that, yes, the 2020, 2021, we scored 43 because we were in an election. I'll grant you that. Now then grant me that in 2016, the allegations of corruption against the NDC had never been seen in the democratic governance of this country.
Oh, no.
Since the Fourth Republic. I'm being honest with you.
Hold it, Doc. Hold it.
Since the Fourth Republic. I'm saying, show me one single minister who was not accused without a scintilla of evidence. Now, I will grant you 2020. How about 2017? How about 2018? How about 2019? In fact, in 2017, you were still enjoying the goodwill as someone who was coming to fight corruption. And that is why I was making reference to the budget statement. Interestingly, he's telling me that fighting corruption is not in budget statement. That's not true. That is not true. You fight corruption with your budget. Because fighting corruption comes with a cost. Fighting corruption, it comes with a cost. Now, if you look at the 2017 budget, you indicated monies you are allocating for agencies, anti-corruption agencies. The amount of money you are going to spend in fighting corruption, you indicated that in the budget, and how you are going to do about it. And that is why I challenge you. Take the 2017 financial statement. And by the way, I made this statement even on the floor of Parliament. Every single paragraph in that statement, they talked about how they fight corruption. So what it means is that in every ministry and agency, they accuse the NDC for engaging in corrupt acts. This is how we are going to fight corruption. And then 2018, they started moving away from the word. In fact, the 2022 budget, the word corruption is mentioned 2 times. And in fact, it is not mentioned as to how they will fight. Can I finish? No. It means that you do not attach seriousness to fighting it.
Look at the money spent.
If you were going to budget, for example, for the office, hold on, for the office of the special prosecutor.
It's increased.
Hold on. To tackle corruption.
It has increased.
It would feature in your budget.
It has increased.
Would it feature in your budget or not?
No. And it is there. And he has received.
Don't mislead.
Because what he's telling me is that
can I finish?
I can ascribe a lot of money to SP, and because of that.
Hold on. Can I finish?
But at least
it doesn't work that way.
Seeing some. I'm just merely.
There's been an increase.
It would feature in your budget.
There's been an increase.
Can I finish? You see,
there's been a powerful increase.
had the courage.
Hold it.
President Mahama had the courage to prosecute his appointees
when they did wrong.
I'm saying hold on. Corruption is based on perception. You need to investigate and possibly prosecute to establish whether that perception of corruption is real or not. You don't have the courage to do that.
Quick one, hold it. Have you done saying that you can ascribe to? There's the issue of, what's the gentleman's name?
Abu Gapele.
Abu Gapele.
Not only National Service.
Do you have any that, I mean, on this issue, sometimes I hear the banter between MPP and NDC. Do you have any? I've heard of so many allegations and so many investigations, the PPA boss and all of that. Do you have any to show?
So many that have not been substantiated. And listen.
So for you, the plethora of cases, none.
No. I mean, listen.
How about the visa?
No, please let him answer.
The president has been very clear that he subjected all of these to the necessary reviews, and so far,
which review?
A lot of them have been exonerated.
Okay,
let me cite.
Just let him make his point, and then you can come up with follow-ups.
Let me cite one very interesting one. I mean, for instance, West Wagon, when the issue happened, some George and Co made so many damning allegations. This was given a public hearing.
We're talking of corruption. It had nothing.
If we don't allow him to speak, we'll not get the thrust of what he said.
When we go to the travel arrangements which he talked about, as we speak, I believe it was Pius.
Yes.
Exonerated.
Who exonerated?
And per the committee that handled, and I'm sure the documents are available.
There's no any document.
You know, so when you sit here,
if it has to do with the Australian visa scandal and some of the things we've seen from the sports ministry, some of them till today we don't have proper closure on them. Are you aware of that?
Well,
we don't even know the details of spending in some instances, some tournaments we've participated in. Do you find that apt?
As for sports tournaments, it's been the norm, although not right. But
did you just say it's been the norm?
In terms of how much is spent per some of these tournaments, it's been like we never know specifically. I mean, somebody carried money from here to what country did you carry money to, please?
I've never carried
money.
You're talking of 2014 Brazil, airlifting money,
and all of these things.
But at least then we knew how much.
I'm not saying the norm is right.
Right.
But as in the how it was spent, we usually don't have in total.
Do you think we should do something about that? Because don't you find it problematic?
We ought to.
If you, as in your position, if someone said that no, medically we're going to spend this money, but you can't even account for the $1, one cedi, do you think it's okay?
We ought to. That smokescreen has to be demystified. We ought to. Right. But what I'm trying to get at, and so that we can come to a closure here. Listen,
won't come to a closure.
Corruption is not good, whether in NDC time or in MPP time. That is my statement. Now, the key thing is that we have a president who has been all about making sure that the state coffers are not misused, misappropriated.
Just last year, we heard from the Auditor General telling us that wastage in the system was 12 billion cedis.
And that is where I was coming with Murtala, that listen, let's be truthful to the Ghanaian people. That 12 billion, 15 billion is not necessarily monies in politicians' pockets.
Oh, it is. I'll tell you why.
Oh, Murtala, we've been on this panel.
No, I'll tell you why.
Before.
So you wrap up, and he will explain to us why he thinks the way he does.
We have actually made a special request to finance to come out with the readjustments.
The finance ministry.
I mean, the Auditor General really is working with the finance ministry because there's been findings when we sat and did the reviews, people's receipts that they had, vouchers they had not presented, that have been presented and all these things. You know, don't sit here and pretend that you are not aware that we've audited and corrected some things so that the 15 billion will be far much less than what we perceived initially. And what we are asking is that per the checks and balances we did during our tour, I mean, we had to go through many institutions to make sure that some of the mistakes were corrected. Now that the mistakes have been corrected, we need Auditor General to come out with the actual numbers.
So in other words, you want a revised figure, which you feel would be lower.
Much appropriate,
but still have a lot of billions of money that could have been put into good purpose, which could have maybe kept us from even instituting an e-levy. You know that?
I would now.
No, don't worry. We'll get into that.
Let me add one key thing. For instance, and he knows very well that when ECG owes government, it is captured in this.
Right.
And these are monies that really are fungible. So it is not necessarily all those that are monies spent.
Right.
True or false?
No, I'll make my point anyway.
You know, so I beg,
true,
I beg that perception that Auditor General's report should be taken wholly and that shouldn't be the case. We need to have the revised numbers, and I really think that moving forward, Auditor General needs to really do heavy homework before presenting these numbers, because sometimes on the day of presentation,
are you suggesting that the Auditor General's department is not?
I said
doing the right thing
on the day of presentation, because he knows very well that sometimes the accountants may have already presented the appropriate explanation, yet Auditor General still presents it. And I really think that it's double the work we do. It's very unnecessary when the appropriate documentations have been provided and verified. More importantly, verified.
Okay.
So all the verified documentations should help Auditor General reduce their numbers before they present this Gangantuan number, which is blowing people's minds.
Do come in with your...
Be truthful with the committee work. Be truthful with the committee work.
With your quick rebuttals, and then we'll move on to how we can actually address this.
You see, the reason why I retorted when he said that, no, we shouldn't just attribute it to politicians. Every ministry and agency is under a minister or appointee of government. And those who do not fall under ministries and agencies, they fall directly under the office of the president. It is the responsibility of the political appointees. When we talk of political or politicians, we are not limiting it to just ministers and MPs. Political appointees have a moral duty and a responsibility. Now, if you are a political appointee and there is so much corruption under your watch, you should be held responsible. You should. I agree with him that yes, you have civil servants, public servants who are also engaged in corrupt acts. But some politicians are fantastically corrupt. A classical example you mentioned about the visa racketeering thing. We live in this country. Nobody is demanding to know which committee investigated Pius and what is the report of that investigation. You see, they are not even smart when they want to deceive the people of this country. The president...
We're not smart like
yes, you are not. When you even want to lie.
We're not smart like
yes, you are not even smart when you want to lie.
Agreed.
The president announced that they had commissioned or asked a committee to investigate the matter. They gave the deadline, timelines within which the committee is expected to submit their report. Several weeks before the deadline, the president was supposed to travel to Volta region and announced out of nowhere that Pius has been exonerated. We haven't forgotten. The thing about Pius's act, which for me is even dangerous, that there is a criminal element of it, criminal element of deceit of another foreign state. This gentleman was reported to by his own boss.
Take it to court.
Now, the letter that was written to the Australian High Commission, introducing these people as journalists, representing media houses, how do we know whether you're not? Hold on.
Truly were
that letter was written by Pius.
The names truly.
That letter was written by Pius to the Australian High Commission, introducing people who were not journalists as journalists. This was a deceit of another foreign state by a government through an appointee, through an appointee of that government. So the point we are simply making is that it is not... Oh,
let me help him. The misrepresentation...
I don't think he needs your help. I don't think he needs your help. Let him laugh.
He's not...
I didn't allow him to interject.
Oh, just one thing. I beg you. The misrepresentation was the people, not the letter. So Pius stated that you were going. And unfortunately, they wronged you.
Please.
So the letter in spirit is truthful.
Please, it's not true.
But some people had passports representing.
You are messing up yourself the more.
No, that is what happened.
I have been in that position.
Please explain, Muta.
I have been in that position as a deputy minister. When you write a letter, you submit the letter with the passports of individuals who are going there for the visa. And in fact, when the visa, and they go individually, they go there as a team leading them. When the visas are issued, they don't call them individual to give to them. They hand over the visas to you. This gentleman...
So no biometrics are done?
Please, I'm saying all those things are done at the embassy. When the visas are issued, they hand them over to the ministry. These gentlemen were caught in Australia, not in Ghana. Don't sit here and put you are in a deep hole. Instead of you trying to come out, you are even digging the more. What happened was a deceit of another foreign state, because the Australian High Commission is the representative of the Australian government in Ghana. Now you have a government that deceived that government through impersonation. Impersonation is a crime under our criminal codes in this country. Nobody is interested in that. Let's find out from the Australian High Commission who signed the letter introducing those people to the Australian High Commission as journalists.
So the point basically is this administration is even sheltering people who are corrupt.
Look,
is that the point
President Nanado is fighting anybody who is fighting corruption. And I have said, and I agree with you, when you said that President Kufuor said corruption started from Adam, it's true. The difference between President Nanado and President Kufuor, President Rawlings, President Mills, President Mama, is that President Nana Addo has perfected corruption. In fact, he has demonstrated repeatedly that anybody who is accused for corruption under his government is going to be protected. And you see, that is why the last time when I said you're not happy, I said that the Flagstaff House has become the citadel for corruption, and they protect anybody.
That's your perception.
It's a fact. It's a fact.
The numbers.
He asks you, who have you prosecuted? And he said it's perception.
The numbers.
All the allegations against Abuga Pele and co. were allegations based on people's perception. It ought to be investigated. When we investigate and prosecute, the only body that has the capacity to determine whether there was indeed corruption or a corrupt act perpetrated is the court. Now, if you do not go to court, you are unwilling to go to court. How do you establish that? You see, I've had the opportunity to serve in government.
Can somebody be unwilling to go to court?
I've had the opportunity.
Take me to court?
It is the responsibility of government to take you to court, and they do so after investigation.
Now,
you are not even. Hold on, I'm saying you are not even investigating. Look, let's admit that yes, there are people who are corrupt. Some journalists are also very corrupt. There are journalists in this country who drive the. It's true. Who drive? Look, there are journalists in this country who drive the best cars, who live in the most expensive areas in Accra. What is their means of their financial position?
But you know, per the law, he who alleges must prove. You can't just look at. I think you may have a point, but you can't just look at someone and say, oh, because the person is doing this, you don't know what the person's other sources of income
Afrobarometer in this country has indicated that corruption permeates through the fabrics of Ghana, including journalists, including the judiciary. Corruption everywhere. So if you tell me that, and I am the
now he's coming to what I was saying.
Hold on, can I finish?
Isn't he?
No, listen, I'm saying that corruption is everywhere, but I'm saying that those who have the responsibility to ensure that we protect this corruption are we, the politicians.
Right.
Because I said
I like the way you are accepting, this responsibility.
Because you see, that's the
and I'm hoping, and mind you, Murtala, these words you're uttering. Hold on for me. These words you're uttering today, should a future NDC administration come to power, we shall hold you to them.
Can I make this point?
And you have made it clear here today that 90% of the corruption is from
that is
you,
not
the politicians.
Hold on.
That is his claim.
Can I make this point? I'm saying that there's corruption everywhere.
Right.
But the responsibility of the political appointees who protect the public purse, if you are a political appointee and you have failed to ensure that those who work under you are not corrupt, you must be held responsible.
Good.
And that is why I said that every ministry,
please wrap
every agency,
in 30 seconds.
and also if you either fall, if it is public sector, is either under a ministry, or those who do not fall under the ministries fall under the office of what? Of the government machinery. It is the responsibility. But you see, I've had the opportunity to have served in government. And I can say here that me, Murtala, Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, I'm not corrupt.
Good.
Right.
I have never been, and I will never be.
Okay.
For the avoidance of doubt.
Good.
Trace my history from University of
I think you've walked me through this.
So I'm saying that let's begin to admit as politicians that yes, almost every sector of our economy is corrupt. But we have a moral duty.
We have to move on. No, I have to move on to other things. But on the back of what he just said, it just came to mind, Dr. Dixon. Can you say sane? Can you, in front
that
of
I'm not corrupt?
Yes. Can you openly?
Until he gets appointment in government, he can't see it.
This beautiful question reminds me of President Mahama when he was asked if he's been corrupt.
No, I'm asking you. Forget about President Mahama. I'm asking you.
He said, me as human or me as...
Oh, yes. Oh,
that was one of the highlights of, his president.
So you, Dr. Dixon, are you corrupt? Have you ever been corrupt?
When you were working as a doctor.
Hold on.
I'm not corrupt.
You are not?
I'm not corrupt.
Are you sure?
It took you quite some time to get into
I have to be truthful, and I have to assess myself. Fortunately, as he's saying, I haven't been given any such appointment where I can demonstrate or even test.
But from where you sit, member of parliament, and all of that.
I am not corrupt.
You see things, don't you?
And I'm very objective in my assessment. And what is truthful today, in summary of this, is that the old man, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has scored, favorably.
Let's get back to that score. Let's quickly get back to that score. Hold on, gentlemen.
Better, but at least
he's the most corrupt leader.
Our administration has not performed so bad compared to...
Why?
So in a decade, hold on for me. In a decade, in a period of a decade, someone's worst is your best. And come to, hold on. Come to think of it, you're both failing, yes, but a score difference is always better. A 44 is always better than a 43. A 45 is always better than a 44. A 48 definitely is better than your highest of 43. Do you admit that or not?
Well, agreed.
So technically, in that respect, they are fared better than you guys are.
But what it is, in truthfulness, is that we haven't had this up and downs. You know, as in per our government, we've at least, and I use the same word.
You have up and down.
I've used the same word. Oh, not 5 points.
So the fluctuations, fine. Let's move past these little points that both of you seem to.
But the sum is what matters. What's the sum?
What's the sum?
What sum?
And the sum of what?
-3.
What you see that?
Okay,
is
hold on. Let's not do this.
You can't agree in sum.
The point to be made is that yes, you can look at mean figures, you can look at median figures, but you can also look at the fact that which score is the best? 2014. In the last 2 years, you scored 43. And that is not, in fact, within the trajectory, your 40 is the lowest. And that's something to take. But let me find out from both of you. From both of you. The question is the way forward.
Yeah.
We are talking a lot. If you look at the recent CPI, they talk about the fact that your own political party financing, the Constitution talks about that. We've never really dealt with that issue properly. How political parties are financed in the country. You're campaigning. I think it was years ago when at one of your congresses we had, was it the EI or something, you know, spewing a whole lot of the things that happened in terms of money and billboards and all of that. Look, in the last 10 years, some countries that have made significant gains on the CPI in Africa.
Apparently.
In Africa. Not apparently. This is from Transparency International.
Okay.
You have Angola.
Okay.
You have the Ivory Coast. You have Ethiopia. You have, let me look at the other. You have Senegal. You have the Seychelles, which is now the topmost in Africa. If you go back and look at where they came from, Tanzania is in there. We seem to be slipping and just bantering about, oh, I gained this and you lost that. How do we get out of this flux?
Can I answer?
How do we get out of it?
Let me go first.
Start.
I really think that the venom has to be reduced. And what I say by venom...
Venom from where?
From the opposition. Be it when I'm in government, them, or when they are in government, me. The venom, the PhDs, as we call it, pull me downs, is becoming too much. And I really think that unfounded allegations, I mean, it's about time that people are taken to court when they make damning statements. Listen, 2 weeks ago, somebody did a false Facebook account of me, and I arrested, somebody claiming that I had taken money from her, because this is how things work out in this country. People make claims and they go free. I think it's about time, and he should side with me on this, that when somebody makes an allegation and it's unfounded, the person should be fined, the person should be taken through some painful experience so that people stop making damning allegations. And until both parties try as much as possible to be, fair in terms of the statements we make, these indices, as much as we are wishing to work hard, will not be improved.
So you do agree that there is some diabolical or diabolism between the two of you?
Too much.
But it's not helping
and
matters.
we need to stop. I mean, let me cite in one breath. When Nana chose the SP, the whole NDC...
Which one? Martin Amidu?
Martin.
Or
when he chose Martin.
Ajabe?
When he chose Martin, the whole NDC machinery was not in support.
That's not true.
And people were making all kinds of claims about Martin. Now, towards the end, when Martin made another allegation against the president, come and see. The whole NDC machinery now turned.
That is not true.
And said that, yes, Martin is right, and that his mind is clear, as clear as anybody can be. And I have evidence of your capus. When I say your capus, your party leadership, coming out strong against Martin in the early stages when he was appointed, and then flipping towards the end. And these are the venoms I'm talking about. Let's be truthful in hard times and truthful in good times.
Okay. So that's how we address the problem.
It will address it.
How about you, Murtala? He's talking about the fact that politically you must be honest. We must wrap in about 2 minutes, so make it very brief.
Unfortunately, he's not being honest in this matter. And that's the honesty corruption we're talking about. He's not even being honest. The NDC as a matter of fact, our founder supported the appointment of Martin. The NDC never issued a statement condemning that.
So point well made. That has been cleared. You've cleared
me, Murtala, I was against him, and I'm still against him, and I have never praised him for whatever he was doing. I never. And I've said that even on your platform. You see, all the countries you have mentioned, countries that are doing well in their fight against corruption, look at the leaders. It takes the political will of a leader, the political authority to fight corruption. Look at those leaders, their posture, their willingness. How many of them have appointed about 40, 50 family members in their government? How many of them? How many of them have demonstrated that they are willing to call the odds as far as
nepotism index?
Please let him wrap.
You see, that is why I say you've mentioned those countries. You're viewing public. You look at the leaders. When you have a leader like the leader we have today, you can fight corruption. Look, if I have my daughter who serves in my government, for example, or my brother, or my sister, or my girlfriend, or my whatever appointed ambassadors, and they get corrupt, what will I do? It takes the political will to fight corruption. It takes the will that was demonstrated by President Mahama, prosecuting his own brothers.
And that is not there.
That is not there. You look, if you look at
his own brothers.
Yes.
So Mahama's presidency had
Do you
families.
know the relationship? No, I'm asking. I'm saying that when I say brother,
you are sort of being
when I say brother,
conflicting here.
When I say brother, Abu Gapeli and President Mahama have been childhood friends. They have been together for a very, very long time. That's his brother. Yet if President Mahama could disregard all these things and prosecute somebody because there were allegations made against that person.
So in conclusion,
the National Service scandal.
Right.
It was the president who instructed.
Murtala, in conclusion, he says we should be honest, even as a political class. What else do we do?
Should be honest. Yeah, he is not even demonstrating that honesty here. The political will, that is what matters.
Right.
The will to prosecute anybody who engages in corrupt act by the appointing authority.
Okay.
We have corruption among everybody, but the people who must take the lead in fighting this canker is the political authority, the political appointees, myself and you. If we have the opportunity to be appointed in any government, we have a moral duty and a responsibility. Look, if you go to the ministries, the public servants, the civil servants, they will come to you. They come to you to tell you how you can do ABCD. If the minister doesn't give the approval, the chief director cannot sanction it. If the minister doesn't give the approval, the accountant at the ministry cannot do that. Now you engage in corrupt act, and then when they say that politicians should take the blame and say, oh no, civil servants should take the blame.
So this is how we're going to cap the conversation. The politicians admit, at least on Murtala's side, that they are the problem. They are a majority of the problem. And in solving the problem, we need them to do the right things. It's interesting. I'll leave you with this to think as our viewers. The United Nations Convention Against Corruption is the only legally binding universal anti-corruption instrument. And guess what? Ghana is signed on to it. But are we living up to it? That's the big question.
Under this government.
The verdict is out there. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the AM show. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Our guests this morning have been Murtala Muhammad, Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, and Dr. Dixon Kisi, Member of Parliament for Anya Sewutuom. Tomorrow, let's do this again. Have a beautiful day.